2.3 part 1. So we're going to do 2.3 in two parts. This is going to be about graphing lines. So if I ask you to graph a line, something like y equals 2x plus 3, there's a number of ways of doing it. Number one is using a table of values. And what that is plugging in values for x or y and solving for the other part of that ordered pair. So this one's saying find the value of y when x is negative 1. So you'd plug in x is negative 1, and you get 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. So when x is negative 1, you get a y value of 1. So negative 1, 1. Next value they want you to plug in is when x is 0. So you get 2 times 0 plus 3. 2 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 3 is 3. So when you have an x value of 0, you get a y value of 3. 0, 3. When x is 1, so again, 2 points is enough, 3 points is better, more is even better. When you plug in x is 1, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 plus 3 is 5. So when you have an x value of 1, you get a y value of 5. And so that is technically enough to graph your line. And you can connect your dots with a ruler, extend your line beyond the coordinate plane, and put arrows on the end. When you're looking at this graph, though, I want you to notice that because it's a line, there is a constant slope. Now, we already decided in 2.2 that the number in front of the x values, the coefficient on x, is always the slope. So the slope of this line is 2. How can you tell? Well, it's in y equals mx plus b. The coefficient on x is your slope. You could count it. I can go up 2, right 1, or I could go down 2, left 1. But all of those are going to give me a slope of 2. Now the other thing I want you to realize is that one of the points we found was the y-intercept. When you let x be 0, the mx term goes away and you end up with y equals 3. And so when you have your equation written like this, we call this y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is always your y-intercept. And that's because when you let x equal to 0 in an equation like y equals mx plus b, you would end up with your slope times 0. So you'd always end up with y equal to b. So from now on, you no longer have to graph using a table of values if you don't want to. If you have your equation in this y equals form, not only do you have your slope, but you have a point to graph as well. So instead of having to plug in values of x and solve for y, I could have started with my y-intercept at 3 and gone up 2, right 1, or down 2, left 1. And I could keep going, down 2, left 1, down 2, left 1, down 2, left 1, and you can see just how off my line was. But if I'd had a ruler, hopefully everything would have shown up on the line. So if I wanted to find the equation of a line, given a slope and a y-intercept, you can plug that into y equals mx plus b. The slope always goes in front of the x, so the x coefficient, so you're going to put negative 3/4 x, and then the y-intercept, the value you get for y when x is 0, would go on the end. So the equation of a line, given the slope is negative 3/4 and the y-intercept is negative 3, would be y equals negative 3/4 x minus 3. So now knowing that, to graph lines from now on, you're no longer going to use x-intercepts, y-intercepts, or table of values. You're going to use what we call y equals mx plus b. So tying together all the skills you've learned so far, the coefficient on x is your slope, and the constant on the end is your y-intercept. Using that, the y-intercept is your point 0, negative 2, so it's where you cross the y-axis. And then your slope, you're going to use your rise over your run. So when you have a slope of 3, that's 3 over 1. So I can go up 3 and right 1. So from this point I can go 1, 2, 3, right 1, 1, 2, 3, right 1. I could also go negative 3 over negative 1, so I could go down and left. So I could go 1, 2, 3, and left 1. All these points are points on the line, and I can connect them. Hopefully I go straighter now because I have more points, and draw arrows on the end. So that's line number 1. Because I'm going to put more than one line on this grid, I'm going to label it. So y equals 3x minus 2. That was a weird 2. Now I'm going to graph y equals negative 1/3 x. Again, the m, or the slope, is the coefficient on your x, which is negative 1/3. And the y-intercept is your constant on the end. Since there's nothing here, it's a plus 0. So my y-intercept is 0, or my point is 0, 0. So if I was going to plot this, I would go to 0, 0. And then my slope of negative 1/3, I can rise. So if I have a negative 1, I can go down. But that means I have a positive 3, so I could go right. So from this point, I could go down 1, right 1, 2, 3, down 1, right 1, 2, 3. Or I could do 1 over negative 3, which would be up and left. So from here, I could go up 1, left 1, 2, 3, up 1, left 1, 2, 3. This line has the equation y equals negative 1/3 x. All right, take a break, go and do this practice. So it's amazing how many people really struggle with graphing lines in the form y equals mx plus b. So this is a worksheet. Whom should you see at the bank if you need to borrow money? It seems like a silly thing, but they're going to give you a series of equations. You're going to graph it on the grid, and this is in your course package. And then your line's going to go through a letter. And then whatever letter that is, you go with that number and you'll answer this question. All right, we'll see you in a bit.